Today on the Topping Show, Matt Walsh blames Chicago crime on single motherhood in the African American community, while Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson blames it on guns from other states. A Florida woman with a knife gets shot by police and goes viral on social media. Florida removes rainbow brick roads at the crosswalks. Toyota to make a small truck to compete with a Ford Maverick. And carbon fiber bike wheels are being recalled. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Ease me, see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase, with Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, Toyota might just take on the Ford Maverick. Imagine a small truck that is actually reliable. Now, it's brought to us thanks to Motor1.com, and they say, quote, Toyota is building a small truck to rival the Ford Maverick, and here's everything we know. Toyota is finally getting in on the compact pickup game, and now expected offering in 2027. There, you can see a little rendering right there. And apologies as I move that around on the main screen so you don't see me staring to the side, but rather directly at the camera. And it doesn't look too shabby. And it's kind of funny to think trucks in the United States have gotten so big throughout the years because of the EPA basically saying, well, you can have this emissions, but the truck has to be this size. So people always blame the automotive manufacturers. Why is Ford? Why is Toyota? Why is Chevy? They make the trucks bigger and bigger every year because they have to. If you want that horsepower, you want that torque, you want that engine, well, it needs to be made bigger, heavier, larger because of U.S. bureaucratic crap at the EPA. Now, diving into this article, and it doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good, albeit it does just look like a smaller Toyota Tacoma. Now, this is credit to Anthony Alons, who's a writer at, again, Motor1.com. He says, quote, Toyota is officially developing a new pickup that will slot below the Tacoma in its lineup, which, again, is also hilarious. The Toyota Tacoma now is bigger than the Tundra was years ago, with the Tundra being their full-size pickup. Though, I'm a little partial. If I had to get a new truck, it would obviously be a Toyota Tacoma, because it's the only truck you can get in the United States with a stick shift, known as a manual transmission or having a third pedal, which is 1,000 times more fun than a regular vehicle. And they have fun colors like green, but I partially digress. They know that the truck is being designed to compete directly with the Ford Maverick and Hyundai Santa Cruz. This compact truck is still a few years away, but it's definitely on the way. They noted in May 2025, with an interview with Motor Trend, Cooper Erickson, Toyota North America's head of planning and strategy, confirmed the project. And he says it's not a matter of if at this point, it's a matter of when. And then he noted the primary challenge has been timing, and the company has prioritized advancing its hybrid and electric vehicles lately, which, meh. May note that while details remain limited, we can start piecing together what to expect in terms of platforms, powertrain options, and pricing. Ericsson offered a few early hints, but the full picture will come to full focus once the truck is officially debuting, whenever that may be. In the meantime, here's everything we know about Toyota's upcoming compact truck. Now, they said, oh, there's no way they would bastardize the glorious name of the Hilux. Will they? Heaven forbid, making a hybrid or an EV or something unreliable. Now, they know that Toyota hasn't announced the name of the upcoming compact pickup, but there's several possibilities. One option being the Hilux, a globally recognized nameplate that has never been in the United States. Now, they say, however, given its association with rugged mid-sized trucks, it's unlikely Toyota repurposes the nameplate for a similar, more urban-focused model. And also, less reliable. Because again, because the United States regulations, the EPA, and all the safety and all the fuel economy crap, now, thank God they're rolling it back finally, but yeah, if you want a bulletproof vehicle or a vehicle that's damn near bulletproof, you don't want all the extra safety crap, or you don't want all the extra emission stuff, which usually just makes the vehicle more unreliable. And I don't think they would want to drag the name of the Hilux through the mud. It is an icon. And again, the ones that, if you could actually import one in the United States, they're damn near bulletproof. It's one of the best vehicles. Motor Trend could barely even kill it when they drain the fluids out of the engine. That is almost unparalleled reliability. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be named after the iconic Hilux. They note that another possibility for a candidate name is a Stout, which I'm pretty sure the people across the pond just think of alcohol when it comes to a stout. They say that Toyota trademarked the name originally in Argentina in 2022, sparking speculation about its return. Originally introduced in 1954 on a light-duty truck, the stout name carries historical weight and could be well suited for a compact revival. Now, they note that, or they question, what platform will the compact truck ride on? Toyota's upcoming compact pickup will feature a unibody construction, ride on TNGA, which is Toyota's new global architecture platform, but it's still unclear which one. Or the rumors point out to a Corolla-based truck using the TNGAC platform, which also underpins the Corolla Cross, and CHR. So that setup might be too small for the demands of a pickup. A more likely candidate is the TNGA-K platform shared by larger models like the Camry, RAV4, and Highlander, which, yeah, given the size of those vehicles like the RAV4, the Highlander, and Camry, that would probably be more in line with what the vehicle would demand. Which, what the heck? Looks like that's a rendering right there. Now, they note that the architecture offers great compatibility and would be better suited to a pickup's needs, particularly when it comes to the towing and payload. For reference, the RAV4 can tow up to 3,500 pounds, whereas the CR is limited to just 1,233 pounds, which, yeah, that's not going to cut it, even if most of these end up being pavement queens, where maybe you throw some Home Depot supplies into the bed of the truck, but yeah, it's not going to be like a Ford F-150. And again, that's not the point. This is, a compact truck. Now, they note that the TNGA-K platform will also provide greater interior space. They say, despite its unibody construction, Toyota's new compact truck is expected to borrow design cues from its body-on-frame siblings. Look for rugged aesthetics, including trapezoidal grille, blocky headlights, big fender flares, and prominent wheel arches. They note that there's also potential for variation within the lineup. Toyota could offer a lowered, street-oriented version alongside with a more off-road likely TRD Pro variant, but there's no reason they couldn't coexist, which, yeah, they're definitely going to do they would do a TRD Pro variant. That's basically, just like Chevrolet, well, back when they made the awesome Camaro, had the SS. That's basically the high-end, fancy bells and whistles off-roading machine trim line for the trucks. Well, all their vehicles, the TRD, but yeah, of course they're going to do that. More expensive, higher profit margins. Again, they changed a lot. They changed a fair amount, but again, it's very profitable. So obviously, I think it's safe to say they're going to have one of those types of options out there. And they say that inside, if the truck shares a platform with models like the RAV4 Corolla, its cabin will likely be refined than rugged. Don't expect oversized knobs or chunky grab handles found in the Tacoma or Tundra. Instead, anticipate a more car-like interior equipped with modern technology and advanced safety features, which not one truck owner I think has ever actually wanted. Again, if this is a more utilitarian vehicle. Now they say, what will power it? There's little doubt that Toyota's new compact will be a hybrid only. Ugh. Offered in both front and all-wheel drive configurations, it will likely borrow its powertrain options from the RAV4, which is going all hybrid for 2026, which, goodbye reliability. It blows my mind how many people buy hybrids in the United States, which, again, inevitably might last 10 years before the battery breaks or goes bad, at which point, just like a smartphone, good luck maintaining that long term. A Toyota with a gas engine, though, that'll last about 300, 400,000 miles plus, maybe a couple of centuries. I mean, all those things where after a nuclear fallout, Twinkies will be around, cockroaches will be around, and a Toyota pickup truck with a gas engine will all be around and working. Now, they note that Toyota's 2.5-liter four-cylinder hybrid currently delivers 226 or 236 horsepower in the RAV4, depending on the drivetrain choice for the consumer. Who's buying this? There's also a plug-in hybrid for the RAV4 Prime that produces 320 horsepower. If Toyota decides to offer that powertrain to the truck, it can instantly become the most powerful pickup in its class. So, not the most reliable. Now they're saying, how much will Toyota's truck cost to compete with the Ford Maverick and Hyundai Santa Cruz? Toyota's new compact truck will likely need to start around $30,000. The Maverick starts slightly below that, while the Santa Cruz starts just above that. They say the new model will need to undercut the Tacoma, which starts at $33,085 for the basic SR Extra cab. That price gap leaves plenty of room for a smaller, more affordable offering. We expect Toyota's compact truck top of the line to come out around $45,000 in fully loaded form. Again, they're expecting this debut hit dealerships around 2027. They also say we might see a concept revival or even an early production preview sometime 2026, but for now, all signs point to a 2027 launch. Which, again, Ford definitely proved the market is still out there for a compact truck. Again, people are buying up the Maverick left and right, especially when it first debuted with a lower price point. Now, imagine having that small compact truck that's actually reliable, aka a Toyota. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more, but I can't but think these things are going to sell like hotcakes. Now, you know me, I think you should have a stick shift, also known as a manual transmission. I'm pretty skeptical if they'll have that with this type of option. I mean, they should. But yeah, I think it'll be pretty good for consumers. And let me know if you had, won the lottery, you had to buy one compact truck. Would you pick the Ford Maverick, the Hyundai Santa Cruz, or the upcoming Toyota, perhaps to be named Stout? Let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have Matt Walsh blaming the epidemic crime in Chicago on single motherhood in the African American community, while Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson blames it on guns from other states, which is a cliche Chicago has had for decades. But I'm sure Chicago will be safe next year, and the Chicago Bulls will be great and they'll win the Super Bowl. That's dark humor, but also a sports pun. Chicago Bears, just like the city of Chicago, have been rudimentary at best. The last time the Bears won the Super Bowl is on a floppy disk where they save the pictures. Not too dissimilar from the Dallas Cowboys, but nevertheless, unlike Dallas, Chicago's economy is crap, crime is higher, and yeah, they're still blaming other states, which, funny how the other states, spoiler, they don't have crime next to nothing compared to Chicago, or as is pejoratively known when I grew up there, Chirac, because more people died in Chicago than Iraq when you had U.S. soldiers in Iraq, which just shows you the cultural decay and corruption and ineptitudes of Chicago. Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson actually went viral for saying this, and Matt Walsh reacted to it. Mr. Mayor Brandon Johnson says, quote, Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. The endless flow of illegal guns in Chicago can be traced to the red states like Mississippi, Indiana, Louisiana. It's up to the federal government to come up and stop these interstate gun trafficking networks. Which, funny, if guns are the problem, yeah, why don't those states have worse crime than Chicago? Yeah, about that. Now, there's Mayor Brandon Johnson. Let's hear. At least he suited up. He did one smart thing in his life. Low bar, but he did suit up.
We need the federal government to stop the endless flow of guns into our state and into our city. Chicago police officers have taken more than 24,000 guns, illegal guns, off the streets of Chicago since I've taken office. Over 24,000 illegal guns taken off the streets of Chicago since I've been in office.
I always do wonder, does that also include like the Home Depot pipe guns, or the slam fire shotguns? Chicago is known for giving people gift cards for guns because they think it'll clean up the streets. They've been doing that for years, no effect on crime. And yet, smart entrepreneurs, again, not legal advice, they realized, well, for a $200 gift card, I could go to Home Depot, get some pipe, and make a slam pipe shotgun, and that might be $5, and you get a $200 gift card. And most of the police departments will say, oh yeah, that counts as a gun. It technically functions as a firearm. And yeah, I'll get a $200 gift card for a $5 quote unquote gun. So some guys actually have made thousands of dollars off those little gun buybacks. But yeah, I do wonder, when you're talking these statistics, are these, actually professionally manufactured firearms? Are they homemade ones? But I partially digress.
Have worked hard every single day to make our city safer, and they've made historic progress. However, we will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city. The vast majority of guns do not come from Chicago. They are not made in Cook County.
They are not made in Cook County. They're bought in Cook County. Now, Cook County is a county in Illinois, or as I pejoratively call them, Illinois, that encapsulates a few suburbs as well as the hellhole that is Chicago. And yeah, he says they're not, they're made in Chicago. Nothing's made in Chicago. Democrats have driven out pretty much every major manufacturer. How many do they have? Like 5 left? In terms of firearm companies, because of the laws in Illinois throughout the years, they've pretty much all been pushed out as well. I think Rock River Firearms is the last one that's there. But yeah, it's kind of sad because there used to be a couple good firearm companies in Illinois years ago. But yeah, they have all been pushed out, or nearly.
Are not bought in the state of Illinois. These guns come from red states. They are coming from Indiana.
1990 called. They want their talking points back.
They are coming from Mississippi. They are coming from Louisiana. And that is the harsh reality, whether Republicans like it or not. Occupying our city will do nothing to solve this problem.
What? I mean, Trump literally occupied DC, or actually brought law and order to DC. And the first time in decades, they went 7 days without a murder. There's no homicides in DC because Trump just showed up in force. So yeah, if you want to actually protect Chicago, I'm not saying be guarantee it, but there'd be a high propensity that they would be successful if Trump would have troops there. Because most of the time, the police officers, in theory, they do their job. But you could argue maybe there's not enough of them. Maybe they don't go to the right hot spots in Chicago. But yeah, actually having, a show of force, just that enough. Just that alone, I think would have a huge decrease on crime.
No matter how much work we do or how hard we work.
What work?
Whether it's expanding our detectives bureau, investing in community violence intervention.
How's that been going?
And addressing the root causes of crime.
He refuses to do that because it would make him look bad and he'd lose votes.
None of it will ever be enough until the president decides to end the mass trafficking of guns in our city. For every gun that the Chicago Police Department fights to get off the streets, 2 or 3 more new guns come into our city. Chicago will continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. Shootings will continue as long as this presidential administration continues to put politics over people.
What a joke. And that is Mayor Brandon Johnson. He got 2 million views and 2.2 thousand likes. But I wonder, what's he ratioed? And again, we'll get to what Matt spoke about in a moment. But yeah, it looks like, let's see. First comment is from Wimac saying most guns recovered in Illinois came out of Illinois source, the ATF. This was data from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. And yeah, it looks like in terms of gun recovered, 9,147 came from Illinois, 2,796 came from Indiana, 952 came from Missouri, 663 from Wisconsin, 419 from Mississippi, dyslexia or something. Texas 315, Iowa 303, Michigan 159. They got 2.5 thousand likes. Now, part of your family says everyone is someone else's fault with you people. Where is the accountability? Pitt's poor leadership on full display. Gained 5.2 thousand likes. Excel rated says, why don't those red states have the same violence issues as you effing retard? Gained 2.9 thousand likes. Save Women's Sports has a picture, AI generated picture of Pritzker as well as Brandon Johnson. It says Dumb and Dumber, Illinois embarrassments. Gained 447 likes. Let's see. Forster says Chicago is a gun-free area with 1,550 shots already fired this year. Maine can carry concealed firearms without a permit. 4 years later, Maine is a safe state in the union. Tell me how gun control works again. Gained 1.6 thousand likes despite my speaking ineptitudes. Going down more and more. Let's see. Liz asks Grok, says, do guns coming into Chicago only come from red states? And Grok says, no. Traced illegal guns in Chicago came from various states, not only red ones. The ATF 2023 data for Illinois. I already aforementioned that. Let's see. Now, going to what Matt Walsh is saying. Matt Walsh said, quote, 80% of black children in Chicago are born to single mothers. If black women in the city stopped having kids before marriage, and if black men stopped abandoning their families, the crime problem would go away overnight. Just the slightest bit of self-control would fix all of this, but Brandon doesn't mention that. I wonder why. And Matt got 1 million views and 22,000 likes, as he says. Unpopular, but statistically speaking, accurate things. Again, this is where I also blame the government as well. It's not just a culture thing. Look at the single motherhood rates in every community. They went up dramatically after the U.S. government started to incentivize single motherhood. Now, granted, people might argue it's because of good intentions, though. The age-old quote and saying is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I perhaps am a little bit more conspiratorial. I believe the government did it to make more and more people dependent on the government so that you would vote for a bigger and bigger government and actually destroy the nuclear family, as it has. When you look at single motherhood rates in every community, I mean, African-American alone went from, 23% to 73 to 80% after the U.S. government started incentivizing it. Hispanics went up, I believe, around 20 to 30%. Asian communities went up around 10 to 13%. Every community, the single motherhood rates increased after the government said, we're going to incentivize this. And you look at where crime comes from, spoiler, a lot of it comes from children raised by single mothers, not by single fathers. Now, I mentioned that a couple times, and I thought, why not dive into the data before we go to the comments section? Now, it might be a little too, probably too small to read on the screen, but I just asked Grok. I said, I simply, well, I'll get it on screen here. I worded it precisely like this. I said, Grok, given our crime statistics on kids raised by mother versus single fathers. Grok says, quote, research consistently shows that children raised by single-parent households face higher risk of negative outcomes, including involvement in crime, compared to those raised in two-parent households. However, the specific impact of single mother versus single father has more nuances. Now they dive into the actual facts. They say, quote, single motherhood households, higher prevalence in the U.S., single mother households are far more common than single father households. Makes sense. Courts give them, even when the dad wants to be involved, a significant amount of time, the courts always, seemingly always default to giving the child to the mother. Now they say that, quote, with a focus on crime-related outcomes for children raised by single mother versus single fathers, and they know that, quote, between 80 to 85% of single-parent households are raised by mothers. They know that, quote, children from single-mother households are at a significantly higher risk of criminal behavior compared to those from two-parent households. Studies suggest they are 3 to 20 times more likely to be incarcerated, with 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions and 85% of youths in prison coming from fatherless homes. You know that the 2022 Department of Justice survey found 39% of jail inmates lived in mother-only households, with 70% of adolescent murderers and long-term prison inmates coming from fatherless homes. You know that single motherhood families are associated with the higher rates of youth crime at a community level, with the concentration of single mother families being one of the most powerful predicators of youth crime in many municipalities. Now they say specifically, geez Louise, this is where it gets horrifying and sad. They say specific risks include 5 times higher likelihood of suicide, 9 times higher likelihood of dropping out of school, 10 times higher more likelihood of chemical abuse, 14 times higher likelihood of committing R-word, and not retarded, the other one, 20 times higher likelihood of ending up in prison compared to children from a two-parent or single-father households. That's insane. 20 times more likely. Now, again, looking at both sides of the equation, I asked Grok, what are the statistics on criminals going from single-father households? Now, they say, quote, lower prevalence. Single-fatherhood households make up about 15 to 25% of all single-parent households in the U.S. Now, they say, this is from 2011, with 2.5 million single fathers compared to 8.6 million single mothers. You know that children raised by single fathers generally showed lower rates of criminal behavior compared to those raised by single mothers. Research from multiple municipalities indicate the concentration of single father households had a near zero effect on youth crime compared to two-parent households, while single motherhood families had a much stronger conductive effect and correlation. You know that children from single father households are less likely to face the same level of delinquency risk from those from single mother households, with outcomes closer to a single dual parent households. And again, this is one of those things where who's to blame? It's not just the government, it's also the culture. And you have a culture where a lot of people, they don't want to raise kids. There's some, and again, I'm not trying to rag on women, so to say, there's some piece of shit fathers out there, or men who do the deed, try to keep this moderately PG-13, they do the deed and they step away and they abandon their kids. This guy's a piece of shit. They should be held accountable for their actions. And you also have the government incentivizing this, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Look at Chicago. It's only gotten worse and worse and worse. Hard to say which one is worse, Chicago or Detroit. But yeah, we've been trying this for decades, incentivizing this. How about we actually incentivize nuclear families again? Again, that is where the kid has the best odds of being successful. And yet the government is only incentivizing one type. It's so perverse and disgusting that I can't help but think the government is doing it, again, just to make more people dependent on the system, so that you always vote for a bigger government with bigger handouts. Use it to control you, to control your vote. Now, go to the comment section. Perhaps I'm alone in the analysis. The first comment comes from David Santa Clara, says, it's too late to fix. It's a picture of Professor X from X-Men getting 322 likes, which, again, it's not. I mean, some people might think I hate Chicago. I mean, it's a terrible, corrupt place. There are some innocent people there. I don't think it's too late to fix it. Again, if you want to fix Chicago, it would actually it'd be difficult, but it's moderately straightforward. And again, I'm not alone in these suggestions. Many other people have said similar things. You need to double or triple the police force in the worst parts of town. Actually, I would argue, have a hard one or two strikes you're out policy where you commit a crime, just put them in jail forever. And you need to show businesses that, hey, once this area is safe, there's no crime here, or at least lesser crime there. Well, businesses will actually invest in the area. Also need to get lower taxes, lower regulations, give businesses a reason to move their headquarters there, a reason to move their infrastructure there, a reason to invest there. And also tell families, hey, you know what? We're going to stop these perverse incentives for single motherhood households. We want families to be together. We're actually, and again, I'm not a fan of really any government handouts, but if there's going to be any, I would argue give it to nuclear families. Actually incentivize the father to be there. Incentivize, I also blame the courts for making it near impossible for men to have any fair treatment when it comes to divorce court or childhood custody battles. I would say push the courts to keep the families together. Get rid of no-fault divorce. You can also blame Republicans and Ronald Reagan for passing that terrible piece of legislation. Make it so it's actually difficult to get divorced. Make it so there's not a huge financial upside for women to get divorced. Again, those are a lot of seemingly they sound near impossible, but again, if you were to do all those things, you could turn Chicago around. Now, will it happen? They voted for Democrats for about 100 years. Democrats traditionally increase taxes, increase regulation, drive businesses away. I mean, I'm pretty skeptical. Again, I would hope Chicago is better. I'm just so pessimistic based on the historical trends. I don't think it will. You also have the conservative alternatives say, quote, yeah, the reminder, fatherless is the greatest predicator of criminality is nearly 1-to-1. Almost all criminals worldwide are fatherless growing up, getting 324 likes. Amelia Henderson says, quote, Chicago bleeds because boys grow up with gangs instead of dads. This is the root of the violence, but Democrats protect votes, not children, getting 118 likes. Based electrician says, quote, Trump is causing all of your problems. Just keep screwing to forget about him. Is a picture of Mayor Branch Johnson getting 16 likes, which, at least he's suited up. He looks professional. Let's see. John Moses Browning. He's long dead, but perhaps one of the most, I'd say one of the top inventors in history. I mean, your designs are used for over 100 years. Perhaps the best design ever being the Browning 1911. The Maldeus Browning 1919. Again, he is one of the best gun inventors in history. Now, he says we don't exactly have a gun problem. It says firearm homicides per 100,000. And it just shows the different races with U.S. white being at 1.7 per 100,000. You have Canada, Canada, as I pejoratively call it, 1.8. France, 2.6. Austria, 2.8. Finland, 3.3. U.S. Hispanic, 6.4. Then U.S. Black at 19.8. They got 479 likes. That is according to WHO and CDC. Bella has a picture of a guy with a t-shirt that says guns kill people. Says, come on, commit a crime. He's poking a AR-15 has no iron sights and no red dot. Which, I mean, if you want to make a funny meme, it'd be him poking a SIG. But, another topic for another time, perhaps. Let's see. You have Ryan23 saying, is a quote from Walter Williams saying, here's Williams, a roadmap out of poverty, complete high school, get a job, any kind of job, get married before having children, and be a law-abiding citizen. Among both black and white Americans, so described, the poverty rate is near single digits. Which, who was it? There are a couple of studies that came out with like the roadmap of success, where you have the highest odds of success just by doing simple things. And it was actually the Brookings Institute years ago, and it said, yeah, you just do those 3 things, the odds of you being successful are near 100. Again, do not have kids out of wedlock, get a job, and complete high school. Like, it's very, very simple. Unfortunately, if you look at who completes high school, who actually does those things in Chicago, they don't. It's also the same, I'd argue, because of corrupt teachers' unions. I mean, Chicago has, was it 30 or 31 schools that did not have students that could read at grade level? They were 0. Yeah, those teachers say they deserve more money. Also have Kentucky Thunder saying partially the wealthiest blacks still have a higher crime rate than poor whites, getting 433 likes. But he did not, let's see. I mean, he didn't link in crime statistics or actually data to back that up. Let's see. Chicago's toast is actually reposted thanks to Anna Degowski. Says the blame cycle of Chicago homicides. We're currently at 6. Guns, police, white supremacy, Republicans, prison system, Indiana. 70s go back to 1. Notice they never blame the actual criminal or their own inept leadership, going 26 likes, which, yeah, they've been, I mean, even when I grew up in the hellhole of Illinois as a kid, yeah, they would always blame Indiana for all the issues. Yeah, Indiana was not worse than Chicago. Granted, I don't think anywhere in the world is worse than Chicago, but yeah, it's funny they blame Republicans. Chicago's been Democrat for like 100 years. They have the strictest gun laws in the U.S. I mean, they even banned AR-15 and AK-47 pattern rifles there for many years. They also had a magazine limit. And yet, despite all the laws, still one of the worst places on the planet. One of the highest crime rates out there. Let's see. This is from Classicist. Interesting profile name. As a, what is it? The parody of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Was it Predator? Where he has a famous handshake and they both have bulging biceps. And it says, the only thing that all men in the world can agree on is white men and black men. In the middle, it says not wanting to raise black kids, getting 65 likes. Let's see. We have a contrarian statement from the comedian. Says, sorry, Matt, but this is a cope. Getting married isn't going to actually magically going to make blacks law-abiding citizens. That's total insanity. And he just brings up more homicides per 100,000. He highlights African Americans getting at 42.3, getting 227 likes, which, again, it wouldn't magically fix everything overnight, but make things a hell of a lot better. Again, like, all these studies say if their parents are together or if the kid's with the father, the kid is 20 times, like, it's almost unfathomable. Single mother kids have 20 times more likely to commit all these homicides. Again, it wouldn't fix everything overnight, but that'd be a huge step in the right direction. And it'd be a huge part of fixing Chicago. Let's see. Roberto says black men abandoned their baby mama because baby mama got Uncle Sam, getting 156 likes. Again, there's an example of a perverse incentive again. There are some instances, and anecdotally I've seen a couple, where they'll actually tell the man to leave them, and also they'll even tell their kids don't get a job because they lose their Section 8 housing and they lose their government handouts. And a lot of people are on those handouts for life. Generational, in fact. And again, I think that's not just because some of them are greedy, it's also because the government's evil and wants them to be dependent on them for generations. Going down more and more. 10X says, it's funny I spend my time surrounded by people with guns all the time. We don't ever shoot each other. Getting 45 likes, which, yep, Texas. Let's see. It's getting Hund. Says, you know why. It's a picture of Nick Fuentes? And 214 likes. But, yeah, I mean, again, I hope, because again, I want every place to get better in terms of quality of life and people improving. I hope Chicago gets better, but I am pretty skeptical. Even if they were to, yeah, even Brandon Johnson wants to ban every gun in Chicago. They tried it before, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Chicago will get any better anytime soon, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Matt Walsh on a Florida woman who got out of a car with a knife and the police get shot, or rather, the police shoot her. It was originally credited to Colin Rugg, and he says, quote, a Florida woman was shot while charging at an officer with a 16-inch fillet knife after being pulled over. They say new body cam footage released by Port St. John Police Department showed a 41-year-old Tilka Walker charging at the officer. Walker had allegedly been involved in crimes and in multiple hit-and-run incidents leading up to the altercation. Port St. Joe Police Chief Jake Richards says officers tried to disarm the woman with a taser, which was unsuccessful. Walker was then shot twice, once to the arm and once to the pelvis. She survived the incident. Walker is being charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on law enforcement officer, as well as resisting arrest with violence. Which, yeah, that's about 49 seconds here. And spoiler, or well, maybe kid, or what do you call it? Visual disclaimer if you have kids watching, it's not a pretty sight. And poor grouping, too.
Drop the knife now! Drop it!
So she's in the car with the knife and proceeds to leave the car. Police have guns drawn, and she's going to leave the car while holding a knife and charge them. Not very intelligent.
Put the knife down! Suspect's down. She got a taser. We did taser. She came at me with a knife. What the hell did you expect me to do? Put the knife down.
They zoom in on her, looking debatably more deranged than myself, and she's holding, a knife. Yeah. That's not very smart. Now, Matt Walsh responded, saying, quote, I remember when the cop in Ferguson said that Michael Brown charged him, and every Democrat in the country insisted it couldn't be true because no one would ever charge a cop who's pointing a gun at them. And then they put body cams on all the cops, and now we see a new video every week of some deranged freak doing exactly that. Which, yeah. And I forget, what was it, 20 feet? There's a specific rule, and, law enforcement, not legal officers, lawyers will bring it up, and they say, within a certain amount of feet, you have someone charging you with a knife, you only have a certain amount of time to do the right action. And this went moderately viral. Got 146,000 views and 6.6 thousand likes. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how dumb you have to be to, literally bring a knife to a gunfight. Like, and again, you've got police, again, the person had police officers in front of the vehicle, behind the vehicle, on the left side, and on the right side. They're completely surrounded, and she thought, I know it's a good idea. I'm going to leave this vehicle with a knife. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where, of course, no one should be surprised by this. And I bet she will still try to sue the police station. I don't think a lot of people are bringing this up, but also the police officer had poor grouping. Not to be too critical, because again, very high tense situation. Your blood is rushing, very high stress. Again, he shot her like in the pelvis and the arm. I mean, most people with firearm training know you're supposed to shoot center mass, and there's a lot of mass to work with right there. I mean, I don't know how he missed center mass that much. And again, thank God, even the other police officers are safe. And granted, she was shot in non-lethal areas, probably make a full recovery on the taxpayer dollar maybe. And go to the comments, one of the first ones, again, credited to, well, not the most liked comment, though I'd argue the most handsome one. Me, the Topping Show, I say, quote, ironically, they wanted body cameras, getting 8 likes. Yep. Alex Grace, that poor son of a bitch, mentioned me conservative, trapped in Canada with freedom right there, so close. Now, he says, quote, regular daily activity for fentanyl zombies of a certain demographic, getting 5 likes, which, again, she was pretty quick. I don't know if she's on any illicit substances, but I thought fentanyl made you slow down. I would venture to guess she wasn't on that, but who knows. You also have Market Gardner. It has a picture of Predator. It has a picture of Predator at McDonald's with one of those like 3-inch fingernail press-ons or glue-ons that the gals have, getting 114 likes. Jesse Kelly's Ice Maker says body cams have been one of Black Lives Matter's biggest cell phones ever, getting 109 likes, which, yeah, I mean, that's kind of ironic. They all call for those cameras, and it made so many people look terrible. Dixie Nemorius says, quote, they literally can't help themselves. I forget her name, but it's another famous instance where a gal in a police apartment complex charged a police officer with a knife, and yeah, she was shot, obviously, getting 234 likes. Isaac says body cams are the best thing to come out. Just showed us that these didn't do nothing. He was a good kid types for what really happened, getting 127 likes. Mr. Reality says, quote, it's hilarious knowing that the left wanted body cameras too because they actually believe their own bullshit about these lunatics, getting 54 likes. Yep. Town Square says the body cam idea was absolutely the worst outcome for race baiters, getting 85 likes. Tim Sniggins says mandatory body cams at police have completely vindicated what our forefathers thought. Well, a little racist. Well, no, it is really a lot racist, getting 145 likes. He said it's what our forefathers thought about black people, which, again, they also laid, not all of them were racist in terms of our founding fathers, and they laid the groundwork to, again, free every man of every race. Giant Base replied, says data statistics prove this. Those are not racist, getting 7 likes. Let's see. Rebecca says Michael Brown narrative was a lie. Yeah, that was again, every media outlet from MSNBC to Fox, all of the major ones, CNN, they all said, oh yeah, he said, hands up, don't shoot. He was reaching for a knife, and then they shot him. Yeah, it wasn't him just standing innocently, hands up. Quite the opposite. Let's see. Twerk Store says police have been dealing with this for decades. Cameras are now racist, getting 12 likes. Let's see. Snarky Slag says, are police body cameras the most spectacular self-own of all time? Getting 14 likes. Let's see. Mr. That Guy, wait a few days, and Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, and the rest of the racism industry scavengers will come out stating body cams are racist. Minorities hurt the most, getting 18 likes. The Liberty Lens says, quote, the left's next move, they'll be claiming that police should have fired a warning shot first, getting 15 likes, which obviously no one with a modicum of intelligence would ever do a warning shot, especially in that, also that close. Going down more and more. Let's see. Scissorhands says, how much more evidence do we need at pretending they are the same of the other ethnicities? Doesn't work, getting 8 likes, which obviously racist and not true. Jennifer says, what other outcome could be expected if you charge a police officer like this, getting 21 likes? Yep. Trying to see if there's any contrarian statements here. OC says, the fact that the body cams the calls for the body cams came from leftists and BLM is what makes it even better. Had the right called for this originally, it would have been called racist or something. Gave 49 likes. And again, this is destroying a lot of those old race bait narratives that the police are evil and they're racist. Again, some of them are. Chicago, kidding. But again, overall, many instances, police are just trying to actually protect the community. Yeah, not all. Especially when they were just following orders during the pandemic and shutting down mom and pop stores. They're not all good. But again, when it comes to some of these a lot of these altercations, a lot of these body cams kind of squashing out some of those old narratives. But yeah, let me know. Do you think they'll find some way to twist this? And do you think people ever? I almost think she has to be inebriated or crazy. Like, will people ever learn that you don't take a knife to a gunfight? I'm pretty skeptical, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Oh, sorry about that. Going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Florida tearing apart bricks on the rainbow crosswalks, going viral on social media. Now, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, Florida tears apart rainbow brick roads. And, well, X is actually loading today. There we go. And they are literally... They're literally removing the bricks from the brick roads, which, if they were all yellow, Elton John would have been pissed. Aha, a song pun. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. Pretty good song. But yeah, they're literally ripping it up brick by brick. And this is 110%. This got to be political messaging. And again, it's good. DeSantis and some Florida leaders are going to get some kudos for this. Because again, I almost want to critique it just fiscally, the fiscal conservative in me is annoyed. It's like, why couldn't you just power wash the hell out of that? Like, because again, that's probably not the best paint. Just power wash the crap out of it, add some chemicals, scrub it away. I think this is much more symbolic, and they're going to use this in campaign ads. I do wonder, in terms of cost to get the job done, looks like they got some gray bricks they're going to replace it with. I would take it one step further, just add an American flag. Although, no, that'd be stupid. It blows my mind to think anyone would think it'd be a good idea to put a political flag on the ground or any sign on the ground where inevitably it'll get covered by junk. And if it's in California, actual crap. But yeah, so I don't think it's smart to put any symbols of significance on the ground. We could also debate Democrats do this for entrapment, because again, some people do burnouts on them and be arrested for hate crimes and be charged thousands of dollars. But yeah, they're just removing it brick by brick. And man, they can see the palette of all the rainbow bricks. And this went ridiculously viral. Got 4.2 million views and 81,000 likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Amelia Henderson, who says, quote, they maligned this beautiful, beautiful symbol. Says the rainbow is a sign of God's mercy, not a symbol of humanity's confusion, getting 2,000 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, good riddance to that shit, getting 903 likes. Let's see. Amelia Henderson also says, quote, it's as simple as that. She says, quote, I'm not using someone's pronouns for the same reason I don't talk to schizophrenics, imaginary friends, getting 705 likes. Democrat Media TM says, this is what we voted for. You have a complication of all the different pride, progress, trans flags. And it has tire marks across it. Says no one has to go along with this weird shit, getting 509 likes. Brother Eagleman says, quote, do you support this? Getting 508 likes as well. Alzuba says this is what unification looks like, getting 83 likes. We also have Anthea. It's a picture of a trans cartoon. It says, affirm my identity or we'll shoot your kids, getting 454 likes. Off White Groiper. And he has a picture of the bathroom guy, or the white symbol in the bathroom stall or bathroom entrance. But instead, the guy kicking a rainbow one. It says, Pride Month, F off. Nobody cares, getting 2,000 likes. Let's see. I Love American News says DeSantis is a fantastic governor. In this article that noted that the new Florida law that allows the death penalty for adults who hurt children under the age of 12 is now in effect, getting 1.2 thousand likes. Yet another reason to vote for him or support him. Let's see. Jack Lovecraft has a picture of all the leftist cartoons, and then the guy on the right is just a Chad saying, haha, getting 951 likes. God and Country says, quote, ever notice that Democrats never say anything that pro-Democrat? It's always just anti-Trump, getting 538 likes. Yep. Far-right memes, or memes as I like to call them, says, should have never been there in the first place. And it has a picture of the Pride Progress flag. Hard to keep track. Whoever's in the business of making flags, they gotta be driving a Bugatti. There's so many different flags these days. Now, he says, quote, this flag stands for sterilized children and unhappy children, getting 454 likes. Wayne Dunlap says the slippery slope of LGBTQ. And it was, 1995, love is love. We just want to be accepted, please. 2005, they just want equality. 2012, bake the cake or go to court. 2015, same on jobs, same on pronouns or lose your job. 2023, the kids must watch our drag shows, getting 66 likes. Lego King says, I'm cheap. I will just flip the bricks over, getting 846 likes. Which, again, this has to be done for some political campaigning. Like, they know this is going to go viral on social media. And again, there's a cost. Bricks are, obviously heavy. You have to worry about transportation, logistics, moving these around. You also have Donna Marie says the horses thank them. You have the horses trying to walk across the road and they freak out around the rainbow crosswalk. And the horses just they don't know what to do. The horses actually walk around the whole thing, getting 679 likes. I also have the Magolian says the winning will continue until morale of the pro improves. Says me watching the pronoun people scream at the sky, getting 76 likes. Let's see. Contrarian statement, I believe. Clyde Morgan says, quote, when the Civil Rights Act passed, many towns decided to fill the public swimming pools with cement rather than be forced to let black people swim with whites. Seems like nothing has changed with you assholes. I got 2.6 thousand likes, which obviously this isn't what this is about. About political bullying and having your crap everywhere. And also, I'd argue, entrapping people who may or may not purposely do burnouts on them, deface them. And also, you're putting a political sign on the ground, the dumbest place on the planet to put any sign. That's why, obviously, I don't think you should put an American flag on the ground. Now, again, he also got 23 responses. Was he ratioed? No. C. Troy says, I did not know that. What a hateful group. It blows my mind that some of these people believe the race is superior than any others, getting 56 likes, which, again, no one thinks this is about race. It's about not celebrating political things on the ground. Going back, you also have, let's see here. Stray Dog says no one is homophobic. They're homo fatigued, getting 40 likes. Let's see. So again, you had one contrarian statement, but overall, overwhelming support. It will be interesting to see if more towns kind of follow suit. And one more video is kind of funny. Lucas says, plot twist, the video is reversed and they're actually building it. 201 likes, which obviously they aren't, but funny example of the importance of video editing. But let me know. I think more states will probably reverse the trend of having the pride symbols on, crosswalks. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, carbon fiber wheels. Well, they're being recalled due to, a crash hazard. Now, this brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, granted pretty low bar. And they say, quote, DT Swiss recalls carbon wheels due to a crash hazard. There you can see some fancy looking carbon fiber race wheels for your road bike. They could ride on the main road and piss off every driver on the planet. Now, they note that, quote, a defect in the wheel can compromise the wheel's structural integrity, posing a wheel crash affecting 6,000 units and also 150 that are sold in Canada, but who cares about them? And let's see, the model codes for these are ERC 35 and 45 millimeter, CRC 35, 45 millimeter, HEC, and ARC. All those model numbers are, being recalled. They note that consumers should immediately stop using recalled wheels and contact DT Swiss to coordinate replacement. They should register the recalled wheels with the company at www.dtswiss.com/recall. Now, they kind of got ahead of the recall or this issue. No one's been dead, no one's died and passed away or been injured. It's good. But they have received 6 reports of the outermost carbon layer separating around the rim flange, which, fun fact, if you ever watched the TV show Friends, flange is a real part. Now, they know these are sold at independent bicycle stores nationwide, as well as original equipment on various bicycle brands from September 2024 through July 2024 for, geez Louise, between $1,000 and $1,880. Geez Louise, worth more than the whole bike in many cases. They were actually manufactured, let's see here, in the USA and Poland and Thailand. Can't imagine spending $1,000 to $2,000, because again, you have the extortion of sales tax on top of that. And now, they might just break apart. Which, yeah. And again, it's supposed to be a fancy, premium Swiss brand. I mean, they make army knives and watches. Well, mainly in China, but another topic for another time, perhaps. But yeah, DT Swiss spending 4 figures on a bike rim that can break apart. Gotta say, DT Swiss, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month and click that button. I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.